Sorry, just singing it right now. I'm thinking about it. Brought it back some emotions, but I'm about to cry because I remember like feeling like, you know, I wasn't gonna be able to see his face. And he's so crazy. But anyway, hi guys, we're back.
Hi.
And today we want to actually discuss with you being married with children and a puppy. Speaking of. All right, so with that being said, we're gonna just kind of discuss, dive right in. So the first thing was like discussing the number of children that we wanted. So I technically at one point in my life, I said I didn't want any kids, actually, believe it or not. And then I jumped it up to 1, saying I wanted a boy. And then I jumped it up to 2, saying I wanted a boy and a girl.
And for me, because of the house that I came from, I always wanted 4 kids, and because there were 4 of us. And eventually, once I got married, that changed, and I wanted 3 kids, with the exception of still possibly having a 4th.
Oh my gosh, if they don't stop. So we ended up deciding or compromising on 3. Yep. And we kind of said specifically that we wanted, 2 boys and 1 girl. And, but I told Tavius that he had to be Houdini, and we need to do that in 2 pregnancies because my dad is a twin and
I'm a twin.
Yes. And so we figured that Lord willing, we would end up having twins at some point. And so when we were pregnant with Breton, they initially thought it would possibly be twins, but it ended up being just this one incredible little boy. You're incredible.
It's my boy.
You're incredible.
Why is that incredible?
Because you are incredible.
What, bud?
You are.
What?
So coming up on our 1st year anniversary, we had already been discussing kids for a while, and we knew that, you know, having kids was a major step in our lives.
Yes.
Once you go there, you can't go back.
Nope,
Can't put them back where you got them from. So
Nope.
In actuality, my wife had been discussing more about children with me because of age and, you know, how that goes to women. Our ladies, you know, once they get to a certain age, you know, that clock is ticking. And if they want kids, they want to go ahead and have them by a certain age or before a certain age. And in any case, we knew that we wanted children at a particular point in time. And so my wife kind of gave me like an ultimatum. Either you gonna give me a baby or you're gonna get me a puppy. I was just kidding.
I really just wanted the puppy, but I gave the ultimatum with the baby because I made it, you know, stark in comparison. Like a puppy is less of a commitment than a baby. But
yeah.
I didn't realize
so
that a puppy was a lot of work.
Took the puppy for 200, and here he is. Not so much of a puppy
we've had
anymore,
him for going on.
Looks like it.
Had him for going on 7 years now. Can you believe it?
He was our first baby.
Yep, our first.
Literally. If you don't have pets at all, they are basically children.
Pretty much. And they never grew up.
Right. I was going to say they stay that way forever.
That's the good thing and the bad thing. Because they don't grow up, so they don't talk back. Well, this dog actually talks back, believe it or not.
A lot.
He goes off. So those that know Reese's know he will go off on you. But he's very like, his temperament is very much similar to our son, actually, believe it or not.
Yes.
And he looks like Tavius, believe it or not. One of the things that we encountered though in having a pet seriously was that the responsibility was great. Like we had to discuss like child care, like pet care.
Yep.
When we traveled, he had to come with us, or we had to make arrangements.
My wife would have anxiety attacks just as if having a little baby, if he was not with us when we traveled. So we had to make sure that he went with us on all of our trips. Whether that meant taking him and dropping him off at daycare, or literally taking him to stay in the home with my parents, who in the beginning, my mama had a fit and said that you're not bringing no dog in my house and yada, 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 because of our past with our dogs and stuff. In any case, she ended up loving him because he went in the house and ran right and jumped in the bed to her, giving her kisses. Ain't they right?
Yeah, he was like, we gonna win this wedding. He won her over before I did. But ultimately, like, we did end up having to discuss a lot that was relevant to us bringing home a child in the future. Like discipline, you know, because we had to potty train him, not potty train him, but we had to house train him.
Yes.
And so we had to discuss that, like who's being lazy, who's not, who's cleaning the crate, who's not, who's taking them out to go for a walk, like just simple stuff that ultimately we ended up coming full circle when we actually did have a child. And it kind of helped us to confront some of our ideas and our expectations of one another on a whole nother level.
And I think that really, really helped because
hey guys, let's cut it.
In the beginning, you don't necessarily know. Once you get married, you don't always know what those expectations are. You might go in thinking one thing and then you find out differently because of certain actions of your spouse or certain actions of your own that make you realize like, oh snap, I didn't realize I had that expectation before. But, you know, now that we're in that situation, this is what it really is.
Right. I agree. So definitely having a dog helped us. So if you're considering it, if you both are on the same team, I would say get it before the baby comes. At least you can get rid of all of the expectations and better have an opportunity to discuss some things that you normally wouldn't. But in addition to that, like, this is only if you wanted a dog. Like, if you don't want a dog, don't get a dog just because of that. But if you already discussed getting a dog and you're considering getting it after you have the child, it's work. So get it before you have the child because it's a little bit less work than a baby. But we got him at he was 3 to 4 months old, a little bit past 3 months old, and he woke me up in the middle of the night crying. Like, I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't want this thing. And then I told Tiffany, I'm like, I can't do it no more. I just can't. I came home one day, he got out of the crate, he had boo-boo all over the place. He was in the bathroom, he broke some stuff. Like, I'm like, what is going on?
Yes.
And I was like, we got to take him back.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I love him, but we got to take him back. He's cute.
And my words to her were, no, that's not happening. You wanted this dog and we got the dog. Now he's a part of the family and we're going to keep him.
Yep.
So he's just going to have to be trained.
Yep. And we trained him and now he's like the best thing that ever happened to us. Granted, he does beg a lot and he barks now. He used to not bark at all. So he was like the ideal dog, but now he barks. He's a little grumpy. Stop licking. And he licks and I don't like that. And Tavia's just like, licking and I get like grossed out by it. So
stop licking my dada.
But ultimately, he's an asset to the family. We love him, and the fact that we had him before Breton, we had him actually because we got him in August of 2013, and that was when we had our first year wedding anniversary.
So yeah, we had him 3 years.
So we had him 3 years. Yeah, 3 years before we had Breton. So he was with us for a while, and by that time, we tried to do everything we could to read up on how to expose him to the baby and things like that. So we can do a separate video about that, but it was really cool. And the great thing about it was that when Breton came home from the hospital, he was like, that's my baby, like straight up.
I didn't came to the hospital. I came from you guys.
Okay, you're right. You did come from us. So when we came home, after he came from us, Rhesus was like, no, that's my baby. So Breton cried, Rhesus was right there. Like, the baby's crying, he would like literally go into a panic and start crying and barking. Like, he would get mad. And if someone came to see the baby, he was super territorial. So the bond was already there before he had even really bonded with him. And it was pretty easy, to be honest, trying to keep him from him. Like, in certain aspects, we still had tummy time. We were still able to do a lot with still having a dog. And some people thought that Rhesus was going to be really jealous. And granted, he does have his moments, but we did like tolerance training with him. Yep. We never paid for any formal classes, but we used to do stuff like pull his ear or pull his tail. But yeah, I won't talk about that.
You don't pull his tail.
Yeah, we don't pull his tail. That's not nice. So we'll talk about it in a separate video. But definitely had Rhesus prepared for Breton, and it was fine. It was just like having 2 kids though, because we still had to take Rhesus out. We still had to feed him, still had to bathe him. He did get a lot of neglect though. But so do you as parents. Because this video is about being married with children.
Dada.
Yes.
And when you first bring that baby home,
Yes, for our first-time mothers and first-time fathers. Yes, when you're married, a whole lot changes. Your entire world changes. And I often hear about first-time mothers being those that they're super territorial, very, very, very territorial over the baby. Generally want to do everything because in their minds, everything that they do is just right, and nobody can do anything just right. Because, well, you know, they've had that bond with the baby, having been in their womb for all that time. And so even when it comes to dad being around, trying to help, trying to do whatever, it doesn't always come across very well in the beginning. And so a lot of things have to change and shift around. And so, yes, it can be where both partners end up having a lot of neglect on one another's parts. And so much so that it extends beyond that to your other children, if you have other children, or to your pets even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Reese used to have Bibby in his eye. Like, he had a bunch of little boogers and matted hair. So we had to shave him down a lot, like how he is right now. Sadly, I felt so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened to me being your mommy? Like, it was really hard. It was a wake-up call too. And I was irritated, agitated. And he's very much, I spoiled him, so he stays under my feet. Even now, as old as he is, he stays under my feet. And so just having to kick him out and all of that, I felt like a mean mommy. Yes, baby.
Reese just pee on my blankie.
What? When did he do that?
Are we sure?
What?
And he's licking and biting.
Oh, okay. That's not peeing, that's licking and biting, but all right. The biggest thing is that before we even saw Breton's face on this side of the womb, we came into agreement about what we wanted. Yeah. And we decided that we were gonna start planning to have a family before either of us turned 30. And so just before we turned 29, we had Breton. But aside from that, we had planned on starting in 2016 summer.
Yeah.
Because that was Breton, yeah, that was 4 years after we had gotten married. We were like, okay, let's plan for a baby.
Yeah. And
what ended up happening was, well, you could tell. I kind of, we were planning on doing it that summer, and then not doing it, but doing it does create the baby. We were planning on trying to conceive starting that summer, but we had planned a trip to Japan and Hawaii prior to, and that was going to be like our last little international trip before having a baby.
Well, before all of that, we had actually gone to Vegas for a cousin's wedding. And lo and behold, by that April, right before, shortly after my birthday, somewhere around there, my parents were visiting at the time. Mm-hmm. And
what happened in Vegas did not stay in Vegas.
Yeah, didn't stay in Vegas this time. So while my parents were visiting, my wife, she wasn't feeling too well, and I noticed some changes happening with her, where she would, come home, she was super tired, always wanting to go and lay down, which was very strange for her, because if anybody knows my wife, they know she is naps. A busy body. She's always on the go and
Team
doing
no sleep.
things.
Hashtag.
So that was very different for her, and noticing those changes, just thought that maybe she should get a checkup, and long story short, she ended up taking pregnancy tests and found out that she was pregnant.
Yeah, we literally got pregnant like right away. Like the 2 weeks prior, we were like, okay, let's stop preventing, just in case it takes longer than we expect, because we do want to have a child in 2017.
No way.
That's what we said. And lo and behold, as soon as we stop.
No way.
Yes, you're here, bud. You are here, live and in effect, man, I tell you.
No way.
Yes, way.
Yeah.
And so we conceived him. We knew that we wanted our first baby to be a boy. And we said that if we had a girl, it would be a name. My mom's name is Amanda. His mom's name is Annette.
His dad is Benjamin, and her dad is Bobby.
Yeah, so we said if it's a girl, A name. If it's a boy, B name. And we found out it was a boy. And so Breton it is. And it's exciting to have a child. I was so nervous that Tavis wouldn't accept Breton's name being Breton, but he was like, okay, that's cool. He liked it. So I was so happy.
And it was a beautiful way to be able to, carry the legacy of both names. family-wise, because we're both very, very family-oriented, very close to the families we come from. And so we wanted to honor them both. And that was a very neat way to be able to do so.
Yeah, so I love it. Every time we go anywhere, people always say, oh, where'd you get that from? I'm like, it's my maiden name. That is so deep. I'm like, it is. I'm all smiling. Throughout the entire pregnancy, we definitely made sure that we prayed a lot.
Yes.
It was very much a worship experience, to be honest. Like being the women that are watching Breton, wait, I'm trying to talk to them. The women that are watching, you know, when you're pregnant, it's like a experience almost similar to like the Holy Spirit. Like, and I used to share this, and I want to quickly share it with you all, is that like you feel the presence of the Holy Spirit, but you don't see it. But your body reacts to it, responds to it. You feel the warmth of it. You feel the connection of it, and it's a complete experience. Like it's like a worship experience. And so the thing about that was that it's just throughout the entire pregnancy, you're bonding with this child, and you realize how little you have to do with the development of it. And so for me, like it was like, this is a miracle for real. Like you hear it a lot, but you never really realize how much of a miracle it truly is. And so we definitely made sure we were praying and in the Lord's face. And then I did have some complications earlier on. I did have some spotting. A lot of times people don't talk about that, but the first couple of months after I conceived him, I was spotting, and I didn't even have that spotting at all in the very beginning. It just one day it just started happening, and then the next time it quit, and it was like it never happened, and the pregnancy was fine after that. We ended up having him 4 weeks earlier than expected, but yeah, so it was really cool experience. But we definitely prayed, and then during that time when I was spotting, I thought I was gonna miscarry him, and so I was devastated, and I had to constantly pray and be before the Lord concerning him. And Tavius would just encourage me that no, this is what's gonna happen. God is gonna see us through. And we wrote this song. I wrote this song actually when I was pregnant with him, and then Tavius learned it. You want to sing it, Bubba? You are my seed. He has blessed me to carry you all the way. You are my seed. He has blessed me to carry you all the way. And you're healthy, beautiful and healthy. He has blessed me to carry all the way. He has blessed me to carry. He has blessed me to carry all the way. And I'm about to cry because I remember like feeling like, I wasn't gonna be able to see his face. And he's so crazy. But anyway, sorry, just singing it right now, I'm thinking about it. Brought it back some emotions, but anyway, when I gave birth to him, we sang that to him. It was so sweet, y'all, like for real. So I remember singing that to help me get through that rough period, and here he is, getting on my nerves every day. I love it. He's crazy. Help. But when we gave birth, it was such a beautiful experience. Like I didn't do any medication at all. Tavius and I took a Bradley method course, and we could talk to you guys about that in another video, but it was a beautiful experience. Bottom line, no light, just the natural light from the windows, ocean sounds in the background, just trusting my body, trusting the husband that God blessed me with, trusting that God created a process that is foolproof because he created everything and made it well. And then here we have this healthy baby boy, despite being born 4 weeks early with no issues at all whatsoever. He weighed 5 pounds, 13 ounces, 18 inches long with his big old head and a big old nose. And when they placed him on my chest, I was like, oh my God. He nursed right away. I breastfed him for 23 months. So it's actually only been like a year and a half since I stopped breastfeeding. Thanks to Tavius for that, by the way, so we can have another video about that. But definitely was a blessing, and I'm so excited to be able to continue the journey. We do want more children. For those who are considering to ask that question, we do want more children. We are in the planning stages for that. One of the reasons why we're delaying is because Tavius is in school, and we're trying to get him closer to finishing his PhD, but we definitely have plans to pop up with a baby within the next year or so look out. Lifestyle, inspiration, travel, the Peterkin-DOM. For more videos and the latest updates, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram.